100% uncompromised quality you can trust in every situation. Seiko, the proud rifle sponsors of the Tweedle Pod. And the ultimate choice of champions since 1526. Beretta, the proud shotgun sponsors of the Tweedle Pod. Hi everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Tweedle Podcast. This one is a long time coming. You might already notice we are sat in the atrium here at Eaton Hall Shooting Ground, and opposite me are Syd and Amy Phillimore, technically my bosses, the owners of Eaton Hall Shooting Ground. And we have been talking about doing this for a very long time. We've just had a bit on. So it comes at a good time. There's lots to talk about. And thanks for joining me.
No problem. Thank you
Thanks
for asking us.
Feels really weird.
It does feel weird, doesn't it? Right, we're going to go back to the start before all this happened. So let's go to Amy.
Yeah.
You can answer the first one. Before Eaton Hall was even a thought, what was your relationship with the shooting world?
So obviously when I met Syd 15 years ago, he was mad into shooting, game shooting, and he introduced me to the sport. We used to go to Cloudside on a Thursday night with friends. He got me shooting, I got the bug, then I used to go game shooting with him, clay shooting, and then we used to go all around clay shooting with a group of friends, Mark, Rachel, Charlie, Tom, Brett, and then it all evolved really, didn't it?
Yeah. And it's safe to say like Doveridge has been a part of your life in some way, shape or form a lot longer than recent years.
Yes, yeah.
Family farm over the river.
That's it, yeah. Just over the field is where I grew up. Worked in Doveridge when I left school, and my uncle used to live in Doveridge, so yeah.
You're going to have to stop smiling at me, mate.
I'm thinking,
This is
who's
serious.
smart targets here when I was 16?
I know, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you used to work here when you were 16.
Yeah. Only briefly, but yeah, like weekends scoring targets and stuff, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Many, many moons ago. And when you heard Doveridge was available, was it an instant yes? Or did you
No.
see the scale of the work and hesitate?
No.
It wasn't really available, was it?
It was always talked of that it was
Yeah.
for sale, but it was never for sale. And I came down a few times and spoke to Clive, and you know, we obviously spoke about it, but it wasn't really a serious thing. And another shooting ground was up for sale that we're really keen on buying, or I was. Amy wasn't at that point. It was a bit too far away.
Too far, yeah.
And basically, yeah, we were the underbidders on that. We didn't change our bid, so it didn't happen. And at the time, how it actually happened was I looked across the kitchen table and said, you know, we've either got to increase our bid, I've got the guys on the phone, or that's it. And she said, if you want me to run a shooting ground, buy Doveridge, but I'm not going to travel an hour and a half every day to X, Y, and Z. So
Yep.
I said, no problem. I said, that's my bid, and that we'll stay where we are. We didn't get it. And the next day I came down and saw Clive and said, right, come on, let's do a deal. And that's how we ended up with the deal done.
So then take us back to the 6th of January 2025. You've just got the keys
Yeah.
to Doveridge. What was the very first conversation you two had?
I think before that we'd obviously exchanged in August, hadn't we?
Yeah, was
And
it September, August? Yeah.
September, August, something like that. And we knew we were taking over on the 6th of January. So we'd had a good few months to prep. We'd put the planning in for the clubhouse. We knew exactly what we were doing by the 6th of January. So as you know, Sam, we'd got lorries lined up down the road. As soon as the shooting ground closed on the Sunday evening, those lorries rolled in with all our equipment.
Yeah.
I'd got a van in my yard full of stuff to change. So, you know, new chairs for the clubhouse, all the paperwork was changed to Eaton Hall and everything was ready. So when we come in on the 6th, we hit the ground running, and I'll never forget it. It had snowed that night, and we were all so
Right.
excited. You and Evie had stayed at our house that night, ready, you know, to come down here early morning and just
It's white over.
blitz. And we all woke up and it was white over, and
Couldn't get out the
we
drive.
couldn't get out of our drive because we live on a hill. And I
Steep
remember
hill.
we were all really excited, and it was just right, let's go and do it. And we were just that excited, weren't we? And
Yeah. We had a clear plan, so it wasn't really what was the first things when you got the keys? I don't think we actually got the keys until midday.
But we just
we'd already
went
started.
for it. We knew it was happening.
Before we got the keys, we'd tarmac the drive and
Yeah.
the car park and put
That's
sleepers
it.
in. And
Yeah.
So it all happened so
I
quick.
think
and
we were all excited,
I think
you
we
know.
turned the diggers off at like 1 a.m. that night, didn't we? It was
Yeah.
we
a
didn't
full-on
want
day.
we didn't want to stop, did we?
No.
It was just great for all of us.
And it was nice that you was part of the journey as well. You know, you and Evie had stayed the night before. I think I'd done a roast, hadn't I? And
Yeah.
we sat at
It
the
was
table.
one big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were all really excited. And
Well, you'd lived at ours for a month, 2 months
Yeah.
prior, pretty much
And
planning it. So it was
Yeah.
we had so much time to plan with exchanging early that we although we couldn't do anything, we could plan.
yeah.
So when you've got a plan to follow, it's easy to.
And I don't know if you
To do
remember,
it.
I'd got a strict itinerary of what we needed to do on that Monday and Tuesday when we were short. So it was like, right, you're doing this, you're doing that. And
Oh, yeah.
everybody had got their own jobs and knew what they were doing.
Cleaning
So
toilets, peeling spuds.
that's it,
It all
yeah.
happened.
It was, we were all getting our hands dirty.
And people knew the old ground really well. It's
Yeah.
been a ground for years and years and years. What was the reality of the infrastructure of the ground
That was the
that
great
you
thing.
inherited on?
That was the great thing with Doveridge is, all right, there might not have been tarmac, but it had a really good network of roads that had been there for a long time that were hard, and the sub base was good, and so on. So I think the biggest problem we come up against was the drainage was an issue that but again, you wouldn't know if you weren't in the job, like me and Charlie, that we can see where you need to put drainage, and you know what I mean. So we saw problems that were being arising from simple fixes, but that's what we do every day. So it was all little easy fixes for us that for somebody else would be a big fix because they don't have big machines or they don't have the equipment that we have. So it was just like, let's put a drain in there, let's catch that water, stop that doing that. That'll solve that problem.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we've made it fairly
Yeah.
dry. If you look at, what we've done now, we put more drain stone in here than I think I've ever put in anywhere in my entire life. And,
Still more to go in.
yeah, but we've got the place dry.
But it's fixed the problem, hasn't it? And now those skeet layouts are available all year round.
Yeah.
Don't have any problems.
And it's just little things, really. I think the ground was very well established. It had got a very good reputation. It was just making the most of what was here.
Yeah.
And I think with fresh eyes and a fresh vision, it was possible to do.
Yeah. The rebrand. It's been spoke about in articles in the Field Sports Journal. I think people have heard this story before, but why was that such a non-negotiable? I mean, there's a story behind this.
There is a story
There is
behind
a
this.
story,
And but also, was it a case of erasing the past or setting a new standard?
It wasn't a case of erasing the past because I think Doveridge did a very good job. It was about a new vision, a new challenge and a new concept, and also setting the standard. And I always said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it properly. And I think we've come in as new owners and we wanted a new feel for the place, and I think it was only right to rebrand it, and I don't regret it one bit. I
No.
know
But in all
we had a
fairness,
hairy conversation at
if
our
you
kitchen
think
island
we
one
did.
night.
we did the rebrand, and we worked on that rebrand from August all the way through to the 29th of December. We were solid on that rebrand and how we were doing it, how we got to the name, how we got to the brand, how we got to the colours. We spent hours between the three of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, working into middle of the night, most nights around our kitchen table, getting where we got to. And we'd been shooting at Leck, if you remember, and we got back, and we'd been speaking in the car. We got back in, and we said to Ames, "We don't know if this
I
rebrand's a
think
good
we're
idea."
overcomplicating it, Ames.
Yeah, I think
But I was adamant,
we
wasn't
don't
I?
think it's going to be possible to do.
Yeah.
People are always going to call it Doveridge because people always will, and you stuck to your.
I stuck to my guns.
You stuck to your
I
guns.
had a sleepless night, and we were sat in the middle of the night buying domain names. Can you remember for another option?
Sending each other domain names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but I'm so glad we did. And also, people do still call it Doveridge, but they also do call it Eaton Hall as well.
Yeah.
So
Very rare I've heard it.
I
being
very
called.
rarely
Doveridge.
hear it Doveridge.
And to
Yeah.
those that don't know, because I get asked this a lot, and I'm sure you guys do, Eaton Hall is the address of this. This is on Eaton Hall Farm.
that's it.
So my
Yeah.
house is called Eaton Hall Farm,
Yeah.
and that's where the name comes from.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We haven't pinched it from the Duke,
Yeah.
as much as that might be.
And
then.
people can see the history on the history wall in
Yeah, exactly.
the
Yeah.
corridor by the toilets, and it tells you the full history of Eaton Hall.
Syd and Ames, you've built successful businesses before, but Syd, you've described Eaton Hall almost rebelliously as your playground, as if you've done it with a wink and a smile. Usually in business, you're looking at spreadsheets, ROI, and what to expect. But a playground is personal, and it's built to your own rules. How does the way you build a business change when you stop asking what will a customer buy and start asking what would I, as a shooter, want?
Well, it's funny because I broke the cardinal rule with this one. I would never set out to do anything that didn't give me a solid return. And in all fairness, there was no business plan, there was no budget, there was no anything. It was just an idea of what we wanted, what I wanted, and use the rifle range as an example. I wanted to build a rifle range. For me, it was going to be 3 lanes. I've ended up with 21 lanes.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because we tell somebody what we were doing and what we thought we were going to do, and we had a bit more space, and then next minute somebody says, "Oh, what about doing courses?" So then you start thinking about a classroom, then you start thinking about a loading room, then it all starts just to add, and it just snowballs into a vision. But that vision's created by lots of people, and the one thing that we did have is from August till January, we had lots of time to talk to people. We came down many times to walk around the ground and see what we were doing. And again, even when we got the ground, because we were doing it all ourselves, and there was no plans, not a single plan. There was a fag packet drawing for this clubhouse. Literally, I actually drew while I was away in Africa and sent it to my ops director saying, "This is what I want, figure it out." And that's what it was. And it all evolved as we went. So how big did we build the car park? Well, as big as we can. It fits there, and that's as big as we can do it. And well, what angle do we do it? We work out what material we had from here to there. So everything that's been done around the ground is a byproduct of something else that's happened on the ground that created that space or that material or whatever. So it just sort of grew arms and legs organically. Yeah. Yes, I broke the cardinal rule, and this turned into a bit of a vanity project more than a sanity project, in respect that it had to be right. It was our
our vision, and we always said, if we're going to do it, we're doing it properly, and that's it. And one thing when we were doing it, Syd said to me, don't tell me what we've spent.
I was just about to say the same thing. I don't want to know.
He doesn't want to know, because as soon as he knew, he would start cutting corners, and that's not what we were about.
Or saying we can't do this or we can't do that.
So
I remember when he found out how much he spent. We were in a Starbucks drive-through. He wasn't very happy.
Might have been a little bit over budget. But I was just like, do not tell me, because honestly, I didn't want anything to stop my vision. Like, I didn't want anything to say, well, we couldn't put that extra bay on the clubhouse because we're over budget. That shouldn't be a factor when you're doing something that is to this standard and to this what we've created. It had to just give it all or don't bother. We were on that journey. So I found out after the fact. And then ironically, you think, right, well, that's a huge investment. That is massive. How are you going to get that back? And you wonder, like, wow. But, we've been very lucky in the support we've had from shooters and people and the general public, and just everybody that comes down here is
really grateful.
It's so amazing, the support we've had and the people that come. It's actually turned out to be a really viable business.
Yeah.
So by default, by taking the risk, maybe for the just a bit of a gamble, it's actually turned into an unbelievable business. We've got unbelievable people. We're going to put, we're still investing heavily into the site, accommodation, the new course, another skeet and trap layout. I want to do loads more work to the rifle range to tweak that this year. Obviously, we've got Top Gun we're building the course for and all that sort of stuff. So it's all going back into the ground, and it's going to be even better than it is now. And it's hard to think how it can be better. Yeah. But it is going to be better.
100%.
So.
And the team, I think you touched on them, the people. I think one of the great things that we've managed to do here very quickly was get a great team around us. Myself, Clive, Dan, Gunroom Dan.
Very knowledgeable, very experienced.
All Mikey,
Yeah.
you know, there's some great members we inherited from Doveries.
Reece.
Yeah.
You know, Reece,
Everybody was. I know it sounds daft.
Charlie.
But, wow, Charlie, you know, he got him. He come in a package. The
package deal. Couldn't get out of that one.
But in reality,
But
we had from August to plan. I'd already met people in my life that I'd earmarked, and I'd said, one day when we own a shooting ground, I'm going to give him a ring. And Reece was one of them. We were shooting with Reece
Yeah.
and
Met
Stanley
Reece in Malaga.
In Malaga.
Yeah,
And I said,
shot
it'd be
with him.
perfect to have one day I got a good vibe, a good feeling. Yeah, you know, I met you through shooting.
yeah,
A few times we crossed paths. I liked the way you operated. I liked what you did. So, and there's other people that we've picked up and we saw. And, you know, you mentioned Clive. Like, Clive's done an absolute phenomenal job with you know, what we're doing outside from a competition level, from a, you know, everything. You know, he's got Jamie, he's got Reece, he's got Mikey. You know, he's got a fantastic team. We've got John, groundsman. He's like a, you know, lawnmower maniac that just wants to cut grass all year round. You know, we've got a really, really good team that are 100% dedicated.
Dan, the chef from
Yeah.
previous
Dan.
I think
endeavours.
it's nice that everyone's
Dan
been...
worked for me 15. How long did Dan work for us? For 10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, before. And, you know, we left the marquee event industry. He went off and did his thing. As soon as we're going back to the hospitality, before we'd even bought this place, I was on the phone. Listen, I'm thinking of doing this. Will you come back and?
We cherry-picked
You know.
the majority
yeah.
of the people, haven't we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
Dan.
we were nice.
No, he was the hardest nut to crack.
yeah, Gunroom Dan was, yeah.
Oh man,
Took
I
some
was on to him
convincing
for
didn't he?
months and months and months trying to get him to come and work for us.
Yeah,
So, and again, you know, then George came because Dan came. We got George, another great lad. You know,
yeah,
the whole thing just worked. You know, getting Whites had been over where they'd been for 30 years, getting them to move to us. Yeah, massive thing. The whole
What's
thing.
nice as well is all these people trusted
Believed,
us and
yeah.
believed in us. You
Yeah.
know, I remember coming to the game fair and discussing this idea with you, and you're probably thinking, "Oh my God, their ideas are crazy," but here we are.
Do you know what? I didn't
Did
for
you
one
not?
second. No.
Oh, that's good.
But a lot of people did.
Yeah,
a lot of people we had
did. A lot of
discussions
people
with, suppliers that
That's it.
Didn't
could have
believe in
been.
us.
No,
Yeah.
Well, it was a lot of doubters, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And rightly so, because they were massively big, bold plans.
And they probably thought, why would someone invest that amount of money into the industry? But
Yeah.
for this industry to survive, you know, somebody's got to take a risk like we have,
Yeah.
and help grow it.
Yeah,
But, you know, let's be fair. The industry was a byproduct of what we were creating.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't realise how big the industry was. We didn't realise, you know, we thought we could run a playground. You know, I think you and yourself, between us, like, we didn't realise how,
we were learning on the job.
yeah, but we didn't realise how much was involved. Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
the team that we've got, to think that we've almost got 50 members of staff.
Yeah.
Well, I thought, you know, we'd be 10 members of staff, and, you know, like, if you think Clive and Steve and Sue,
Mikey.
there was
did it
like
all,
4 of
yeah?
them.
yeah.
So to what it's a completely different animal, but it was never planned. It just
Just
evolved.
happened.
Yeah.
And I sit at night and I think, so what woman would just overnight decide they want to run a shooting ground or build a shooting ground, but then also open a cafe? She knows nothing about kitchens or cafes. Open a clothing room. She's never run a clothing room in her life. Open a gun room. Never ran a gun room in her
Oh,
life.
whoa. The gun room's mine. Nothing to do with
Okay, yours. And then done this. And it's not just one business. If you break it all down, there's so many different areas.
Yeah. And we run it as that, like
And
different
We
departments.
do
that's
run it
how
as
we run
different
Yeah.
you. But the one
I
thing,
think the best thing probably for you two, you've been massive consumers of all of this throughout your life.
Yeah.
At high standards, at low standards, so you know what people want to expect. And
Yeah.
you know how to
and I say
make
it all
something
the time.
nice.
Yeah.
Every meeting we go in, I bet you cringe every time I say it probably. But when we talk to people, the only thing that makes us different is service and experience.
Yeah.
That's it. We're all selling the same product.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're selling a cup of tea or a glass of champagne. It's all service and experience. And that's the one thing we've been lucky enough to go around the world and see all walks of life. And it's all boils down to that service and experience. And
Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter what department you're in or what business you're in. If you get that right, I think the rest is fairly easy.
Yeah.
You know, I said it when we were doing it, build it, they will come. And we built it.
Yeah.
And I genuinely believe that the more you give back, the more you get given.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
It's
100%.
yeah.
The build. Most people take 2 years or 3 or 4 years to build a clubhouse. It took us 27 weeks from our workings out. Was that ambition, or did you have a specific deadline that we needed to hit?
Both.
Well,
I mean, I've been asked to get on HS2. You know, I don't. Everyone's like, "Can you help?" Someone asked me to join their council the other day because they wanted the potholes doing. I'm like, hang on.
I can't get road poles done. Yeah. No.
Don't mention potholes.
What you got to think is, we did not have a deadline. Okay, so
We did want it finished for the British, though, didn't we?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we created our own deadline by accepting the British, and giving us that deadline. We had something to work to. We work within our group of companies, and I have a few business partners in other businesses that are quite demanding, and stuff happens quick. So they take a site, we need to get it operational, bam, bam, bam. So we're used to running.
We're used to fast pace.
Yeah, we don't. So, and the only way we managed to deal with that going forward years ago was we had to control every aspect. So everybody within the business, within our business, we have every aspect of every trade we require because we can't rely on anybody. So some of them might be subcontractors, but they work for us all the time.
Yeah.
So when we go, right, we've got to build a brand new state-of-the-art lorry park, it's all hands on deck. Everybody knows their role. They all come in at different times, bam, 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 bam. So all we did is it's a steel frame build, it's a shed, it's a workshop, and we've just put our own little twist on it. So every aspect was under our control.
Yeah.
So it was really, it wasn't simple, but it was the same process we would follow for anybody else.
It wasn't out the norm for us.
No.
You know, this is what we've done for many years.
We've got a fantastic team.
We have got a very good team, and Alex, our project manager, is
unbelievable.
He's a machine, isn't he?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
he's worth his weight in gold. He is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
We documented it quite well on YouTube, but I remember vividly 2 weeks before we opened, the clothing room was still a complete shell. Do you remember?
I remember.
And they were just putting the roof panels in for the ceiling. There was nothing on the walls. Decorators hadn't even been in. And I was like flipping it. That was the only point of twitchy bum time. And then it turned out unbelievable.
I think the only thing different about this job is it was for us. We were the customer, and then also for this job, I wanted to hand pick everything, whether it was the sofas, whether it was the chairs in the cafe, whether it was I don't know, the branding or the furniture, the flooring.
And it's
so I
hard.
think that's what's different.
Because when you've got a customer and they say they want this flooring because whatever reason, and you go, well, I don't know if that's a good idea because, you've got guys in the workshops and blah, 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 and grease on their shoes. No, this is what I want. No problem. Because then when it's not right or it's a problem, it's their money they've wasted and they need to redo it. And we try to help you, but you went, you want to go down this route. We advise you go down this route. Your problem. So when you're doing it yourself and there is no answer, like what flooring do you put in a shooting ground to host 100,000 people a year? That's going to be hardware in, it's going to handle mud, it's going to handle this. Well, there isn't a magic book, is there?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're thinking, right, well, we think this will be right. We put carpet in some places that maybe we should have put, Antico. I don't, there is no, there's no right or wrong.
No.
So you're learning as you go. The funny thing I thought was when we built the gum room, and I built all these lovely gun racks, and within the first 2 weeks, we realised that we couldn't handle enough guns, and we had to rip them all out and double all the gun racks. So we were already within 2 weeks realised we were outgrown the gun room.
Yeah.
And I'm actually just about to start another little revamp.
So you've redesigned it today, haven't you?
Well, we're adding another. Hopefully, going to add another 400 guns worth of display space and so on. So again, you're revolving all the time, and it's just there is no rule book.
Ames, the interior design feels very specific. How did you balance country rugged and high-end luxury decor?
Good question. I don't know.
If that's what you've done.
Yeah, I know. I tried to make it so, obviously, I understood that it was still going to get dirty, so it was going to get muddy, you know. No matter how much tarmac we put down, you're still going to get muddy prints. I needed it to be dog-friendly. I needed people to come in the wallies, in the boots, and then not be uncomfortable about coming. So, I don't know, really. I just did my thing and just tried to, you know, have a little bit of country, make it a bit rustic, but make it a standard where I'd want to go and sit and have a coffee, or I'd want to go and take my friends for lunch, or, you know, and I think we've been to enough places now and different shooting grounds where you get some that are in a container, not a problem, you know, as long as they're throwing good targets, it doesn't matter. Or you can come here, and I think it's just about getting the balance right. And
if you remember, we had loads of heated discussions about how Amy wanted to do it, and I was going, no, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, because trying to get that balance where it's for everybody is really hard.
There was a point
Yeah.
where you were scared of it feeling too high market.
100%,
Yeah.
and that's not what we wanted, but
I
we didn't
know.
want it to be, but we've got to make it
And I do feel like we've nailed that. I mean,
I think we've got the balance
100%,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
I know,
fair
but-
play to you.
yeah.
You were 100% right. And
but there was a time, wasn't there, where you were probably...
yeah,
I think it was probably off that Pinterest picture you had. Do you
yeah, I
remember
think
it?
that,
on your whiteboard in your office.
Yeah.
It was like
probably
a massive Canadian oak lodge type thing, and we were like,
But I knew what I wanted in my head from the
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
start, and I've stuck to it. There's nothing I haven't changed apart from
well, you
Syd's
weren't
office,
supposed
but-
to have an office.
Yeah,
well,
that's
that's I had to build my
We weren't
office.
supposed to have the extra. That was supposed to be a drive under thing, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
that would have looked a bit too maybe
But again, I knew that it was going to be, as soon as I started building it, I knew it was too small.
too small.
So I needed to extend it. So then by doing that, it would have been open. And then I was happy for it to all be like an open vaulted entire ceiling. And then when we went upstairs and we saw that you guys had all got offices and I hadn't, yeah,
You don't do any work.
I felt left out. So hence why I built my office.
There you go.
What do you do
I
in
didn't have
your
anywhere else to
office?
put it. So
He didn't tell me and Amy where he was going to put it for months and
No, he
months. and
didn't. He
months.
kept us, didn't he,
figured
in
it out.
suspense, trying
Yeah.
to figure it out.
and I do like my office, by the way.
We've laid down miles of tarmac paths. What was that about aesthetics, or was it about who we would like people to access the sport? You know, more
I think it
discipline.
was about comfort for the shooters.
Yeah.
I think it was everything.
Yeah.
I think by,
Cleanliness as well on the
Yeah.
Antico
Yeah.
floor.
Yeah.
so one thing added value to the next thing. So, you know, straight away from a disabled point of view, access around the ground, amazing. Golf buggies, amazing. No mess, amazing. You know, all these things became, it was just, the more we sort of did it, we weren't probably going to do it everywhere, and it just, well, it's worked, and it's really worked, and there's loads of plus sides, and there's not really many negatives, apart from if it's icy. So all of a sudden, you just think, "Do you know what? We'll just keep going," because
Yeah.
you almost have set that standard where it is really good to do it. So
I think what you've got to remember as well is when you're shooting, one of the first things you learn is your feet position. And your foot position is very important when you're shooting. You know, where you're starting with your gun, where you're finishing with your gun. Is there movement for your feet if you're, you know, changing targets? No one wants to be stood in mud. No one wants to be stood elevated. No one wants to be stood uneven.
Yeah.
So we've took that into consideration of what shooters want, and we've been able to put that into place because we're fortunate enough to be able to do that.
yeah, and some might say that it's too clinical, but ultimately we're trying to make it, you know, somewhere you can come and you haven't got to put boots on. You haven't got to. It is just, we're trying to keep it clean but not too clinical.
Mm.
Obviously, because it's all new, it is going to take time to wear in and so on. And already, I think it looks a lot more worn in, a lot more.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it's settled down a lot now.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this summer where I can get the grass to grow, because I still couldn't get areas to grow properly, and we missed. You know, the last summer was so hot.
last year, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, the tarmac was, for my eyes, it's an absolute no-brainer.
And amongst all the chaos of the construction, we never closed a day.
No.
The
How
only
did-
day we closed was the
Did
day
you do
before
it?
the British.
Yeah.
Day before the British. And then
How-
did we do half a day when they need to swap the electric over?
with
We
the
did half a day.
transformer,
Yeah.
they turned all
When
the
they
power
did
off,
the
didn't they?
transformer, yeah.
How did we keep it open during all the construction chaos?
Do you know what? I think it boils down to,
Managing your teams for a start.
no, I honestly believe it comes down to the people that were coming. I actually think the vlog and all the social media we did, we kept people informed.
Yeah.
So they could turn up with the appropriate footwear, the appropriate clothing, etc., knowing what they're coming into, so they knew what to expect. So in all that time, we didn't have a complaint.
Everyone was excited.
And it
weren't
was
they?
all, everybody supported us. So the reason we kept it going is because everybody was understanding. Whereas maybe if we hadn't have told them or they couldn't see what we were doing, then maybe they'd have just been upset that the place was a mess and why have you done this and why have you done that. But everybody was completely supportive the whole time. We had a great team of people around us. Yes, we probably wasted a lot of money. Like, you know, I've spent more on road sweepers than I've ever spent in my life trying to keep the place tidy because you've got the public coming in and, you know, so there was a lot more work involved keeping it open.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and again, the funny thing is when we bought it, I never thought we would keep it open. So I never factored the income coming in towards the build. So that was all a bonus because I thought we were just going to basically close and do it, and
Yeah.
I never actually thought about it.
If
And it
we'd
got
have
busy
closed, though,
quick.
we did get busy from the get-go, didn't we? I think we did, 500 members in the first month or something?
Yeah.
It was
And I think if it
crazy.
wasn't so busy, we may have closed. You know, we may have kept it a bit more like low key, but because it was so busy and because we were getting so much support and people didn't mind and they were all understanding, it actually made it really easy.
Yeah.
So we just carried on.
From a business point of view, though, for me, it's if you close, those customers are going to go somewhere else, and then you've got to try and get them back. So it wouldn't have worked closing, but we were just fortunate enough that we could stay open,
Yeah.
and I think it worked for us. And
There's a lot of people that came religiously and are part of that journey with us.
yeah,
I was
and they
about to say
look
that. I
forward-
feel like they felt they were a part of.
Absolutely.
100%.
What was
There's
going
so
on.
many people that have watched the whole,
Yeah.
been through the whole process with us, week
Yeah.
by week, without fail.
Yeah.
You know, they've seen every aspect of the pros, the cons, the bad days, the good days, the wet days,
Yeah.
you know. So it's actually like, I think it was probably good for all of us. I think we've all enjoyed it.
Oh, massively. Yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of like pubs I've just popped into and people have gone, "Oh, I've seen you doing that skeet layout on a Range A," and it's like, "Sorry, mate, who are you?" Do you know what I mean? But they've just kept a part of it all.
Yeah.
What was the biggest oh no moment like during the build? Was it
Oh, no.
pipe burst? Yeah, like
Oh.
I can't. I was going to swear, but yeah, what?
Well, I don't know.
Nothing really sticks out.
We didn't have any major.
I remember. Oh, Charlie.
Go
Go
on.
on, Charlie.
Go on, Charles.
Oh, it was so hot.
Oh, when it was the opening evening, the floor.
Oh, the floor. Oh, no, we don't talk about the floor, Charlie.
Yeah, so the people that don't know, no one knows actually. Visitors don't even know, but on the opening evening, we put some sort of like sealant on the
Sealant.
tiles in front of the reception desk, didn't we?
Yeah. Okay, so that is coming back now. That is definitely the oh no. So,
And
Yeah.
about 2 hours before guests were about to
so
arrive.
Amy being Amy wanted everything perfect, and she insisted on the tiles being sealed before we opened.
Yeah, because they had a bit too much of a matte finish on them.
That was it. Yeah.
And they're a non-slip outdoor tile
Yeah.
that clearly don't need to be sealed. But we didn't think about that, and we sealed them. And we came in the morning, and it was like PVA glue was just.
All over
All
the
over
tiles. So
'em.
they were all white.
And the day of the opening evening, I was literally on my hands and knees with raw bleach, scrubbing them to the point where I couldn't breathe, and I almost passed out.
I was on
Many a time.
my hands and knees scrubbing them, and you told me I
We
was
had,
crying.
we had hyperchloride.
That was it.
We had everything.
And that was it. It wasn't
and
bleach.
then it was fine. We got it all off, but then the smell wouldn't go.
That was
So we
it.
were trying to get loads of
And it was
air through.
38
It
degrees.
was
Yeah.
so hot. I remember being on my hands and knees
Red
crying,
hot.
and Syd was saying, "Please, can you go home and get ready? Guests
Yeah.
are arriving in a minute."
The only other thing I can think of is when the steel frame was up of this building and we hadn't concreted yet. Do you remember where the groundwork had gone all pretty much flooded and like redundant. We put a load of MOT down, but we had to trim it all off again with the Bobcat and start again.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really no.
That's just
moment.
groundworks. That's
It's just
just
groundwork.
Yeah,
That's
it
just
happens
bad
a
luck.
lot.
You either
Yeah.
win or you don't. And yeah. But I suppose making it bigger,
Yeah.
that was a big decision because we had to stop everything while we ordered the extra bays to put in, and I just knew.
So those that don't know, the Eaton Suite is a bay bigger than it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Thank God, by the way.
Yeah, because I knew straight away as soon as I walked in, I was like, it's not bigger, and you lot were all thinking you're absolute crackers, it's too big, and you know, again, bit of a heated debate. But we stopped. We took, we lost 2.5 weeks of our build schedule on that. But if we hadn't have done it, to do it now would be almost impossible.
Yeah.
So it was well worth doing.
And when the build finally came to the end in July 2025, did the reality of the building sketches match the reality of it in real life?
Yeah,
I think so.
We didn't really have drawings though.
We didn't have any drawings.
We had one drawing, didn't we, that we'd put together one afternoon, one evening. But I think the size of it, I was panicking a lot every time I come down here thinking, what if no one comes? What if no one comes to shoot? What if there's just one person on a Monday? And now I turn around and think, I need a bit bigger cafe area. And, weekends, it's busy. So I think the scale of it was a bit daunting at first, but soon got used to it, haven't we? We soon filled it. And
then 3.5 to 4 weeks later came the British Open, one of the biggest CPSA competitions that happens every year. Was it the ultimate sink or swim sort of strategy type thing where we were like...
Definitely not sinking, we don't do that.
We
I know that.
No, we run an event company for a long, long time, and we went, bearing in mind we've shot all around the world, and we've shot, we've seen competitions, and you pick up things which, we're not saying people have done things wrong, but you pick up things that are easy fixes. Again, like I was explaining about the drainage earlier. What's easy, when we've got we've got a shed full of marquees still, we've got a shed full of generators, we've got great people that we work with for many, many years in the event industry. If I need to call favours in or make phone calls at 11 o'clock at night, hit the red button, we've got good people, so we don't ever worry because we're in a job where it can be fixed. Like the live streaming, we wanted it done. We know it's hard to do it. It's hard to do that sort of, I don't know, not the volume, but on that scale. But we've done it. I used to live stream Staff Uni graduation for 10 years. Literally 2,000 people getting graduated every day for a week. So to do the live, it's nothing if you've got the right people and the right equipment.
Yeah.
And they turned up and they made it look easy. It was just mental.
And it was well received as well, wasn't it? People all around the world were watching.
So if you've got the right tools, anything's easy. And I think the British it wasn't a no moment, but the pressure was on because of you and Charlie. We started off on this little campaign to do social media, and we wanted to get it. It turned into an absolute monster. The world was watching, and that was the pressure.
I think that was inevitable.
All eyes were on us, weren't they?
Yeah, but it wasn't the pressure from like us. We'd created our own pressure.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was like if we fail, everybody's watching what we're doing, so we put the spotlight on us.
Yeah, but it was like only 8 months in of owning the whole ground, like from us never running a competition before to then hosting the British, and
the
way it was good teamwork as well. Everyone worked together, everyone was excited about it, and everyone mucked in, didn't they?
And they were all proud to be a part of it. The staff really enjoyed it. Everybody really enjoyed it. It was actually a pleasure to do. It was.
What made it for me was the amount of people on that grandstand for the final who stayed in the rain to watch it.
Yeah.
And then the amount of people who then come into the atrium to watch the prize giving. All
that hard work's worth it.
You couldn't move in here.
Yeah, you couldn't move. It was full, and all them world champions who've won world champions before were saying, "Oh my goodness, we've never had a presentation with this many people."
Yeah.
It was amazing, and that's what it's about. When people make comments like that, that's what it's about, and that makes all the hard work worthwhile.
Yeah. And between the two of you, was there ever a moment during that week where you both sort of stopped and thought, "Okay, now we've done it"?
I think that's probably when we went and played golf.
Yeah.
I think it was.
People aren't supposed to know that we snuck off to JCB for 18 holes.
But as mad as it was, we did. Because we were completely obsolete. It was, we'd absolutely...
It was a nice week.
Yeah.
It was a really nice
week.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the weather was amazing. It was just
I think because the night before, Syd and I had stayed here, and I think that night probably for us was like, this is it. This is what we've done it for. This is our first big, our first major.
Yeah.
Within
Yeah.
8 months, this is our chance to showcase the ground.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was when it hit home a little bit.
Yeah. I still drive down the drive every day. I come here and you look down and you can see the clubhouse and the car parks. And I always think I don't realise I never think it's ours. Like, we're here and we're involved, but I don't ever feel like you just think it's too big. It's too,
Why?
I don't know, it's weird. It's like, I just feel like I come to work, but, obviously we own it, but
This is where we're very different, because I drive down the drive seeing if the fountain's on, if there's any litter, do the potholes need filling in, and who's that buggy driving towards me the wrong way.
well, that's all fixed when I get here because she gets here before me.
Oh,
No, I do
dear.
feel it's quite surreal thinking, when you see all the skeet ranges at night and all the lights are on, and it's such a big entity, it just feels like it's some big corporate machine that is owned by a big, you don't think we've just
Yeah.
created it. Do you know what I mean? It's weird.
It's all happened very quickly. And beyond Clays, British Open out the way, then decided to do running ball range, 2 running ball, the only one in Europe. Then we've got a 300 metre range. What was the reason for diversification, not just Clays?
Selfishly, because I really like rifle shooting.
I think there was a gap in the market as well.
Of course,
For sure.
and 100%. And the big thing was that I really love rifle shooting, and I wanted a rifle range. And then when we looked at what space we could do it and where we could do it, we realised there was more space. Well, if we're going to put a bund in so wide, we might as well go a bit wider, and because we can't use it for anything else. So we made it as big as would fit there. Then we worked out the firing positions. That changed over and over and over again. Then Hornady came along and were like really keen to do something with us because I had an idea about a loading room. And so then all of a sudden I said, I'm going to build a loading room. So now I've got to build a loading room. But then if you've got a loading room, you need the components. We were never having a shop down there. Ended up building a shop. We're never having guns down there. Now we've got,
Yeah.
an armory. So all of a sudden it evolved just by it becoming, because we did it over like 6-7 months. That was the last thing to get done. We had more time to basically hang myself by saying more and more things I was going to do, and I had to do it. So, but it's actually worked out really well. And what's really nice is, what are we now? Beginning of March, we've got over 200 new shooters.
Yeah, brand new rifle shooters.
Never fired a
Yeah.
rifle in their life.
Yeah.
Enrolled on inductions and their probationary period for the club. Over the next 12 weeks, they're going to become full members. We're starting to get full members coming off
And all
now.
of them will apply for their licence then, won't they?
Yeah,
So
and they're
that's 200 more
new shooters.
firearm certificates that will be hopefully getting put.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable for the sport. Unbelievable for them. We've got families coming down, like not young families, like grown-up families, like 20-year-old kids. Son, daughter, mum, dad, coming down on a Wednesday evening because they just thought it's something good to do as a family. Like, what else can you go and do as a grown-up family?
Yeah.
They come and do a rifle induction, and they're going to come down rifle shooting. I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's
Unbelievable.
yeah.
British Shooting, the Olympic team, now use your shooting ground to train on. How does that feel to have the Olympic squad shooting at your
Quite
ground?
special, really. I
Yeah.
think it's nice. And
Now they're part of the furniture.
yeah,
They're here all the time.
they're here all the time, and I think that's nice. Obviously, when they first come, it's like, oh, got the Olympic team here. It's really special. It's special every day, but now it is.
they're like part of our family now, our team, and
Yeah,
they hear that
they-
frequently, and it's nice that we can support them to use the facilities. And
Yeah, and we're looking at doing some other stuff maybe for other areas of the shooting team, which hopefully will come to fruition, as it were. So the more we can help them and the more we can do, I think it's great. And I think it's great for the sport because other people are coming and shooting with them, and it's like an everyday thing here. They're here. And
Yeah.
the other thing is obviously not just the GB team, but you've got, world champions training here every day. You've got the big names in shooting here all the time. And they come, they're always sitting at a table having a coffee. They're here all the time.
Yeah.
And people are interacting with them all the time, speaking to them all the time. They're having lessons, they're picking up clients, they're helping people out, they're coming giving little pointers to, you know, it's just a good atmosphere. And I think all of that works. I don't think it would work without all these people.
No.
You know what I mean? It's good people.
100%. Be amazing if one of them went on to win gold, wouldn't it, next?
Oh, wouldn't it just?
Yeah. So how do you prevent the ground from feeling intimidating to the newbies that have never shot before? And for a first timer, when there are world-class pros on the next stand, you know, how do we manage that? We've got the garden, obviously, lessons and everything. How do we go on with them aims?
I think really it's when they first walk through them doors, how they're made to feel welcome. And, you know,
everybody's treated the same.
Everyone's treated the same. And my staff are trained to speak to everybody as soon as they come through the door. A warm, welcome environment is what we offer. And we just guide them every step of the way, really. Introduce them to the instructor, take them into the garden. You know, we're very lucky that we can have 5 stands up there, which are private, so we can have one-to-one tuition, you know, and we've got the academy where they can go in, do a bit of a gun fit, watch a safety briefing. I think it's just treating everyone the same and with respect. No one's...
And professional.
Yeah.
Treated any different. And I think if they know you're professional and you've got the knowledge, they'll come and ask you, you know, how do I get my shotgun licence? How do I join the CPSA? How do I, you know, I want to book another lesson.
It's not many people that come and don't come back from a newbie point of view.
Yeah.
I think once they commit to coming and actually going out of their way and actually taking the step and booking that lesson, you always see them again.
We do get a lot of repeat custom,
You know what I mean? It's not very often that one comes and then there's, it's not for me, and doesn't come. I think they all get the bug.
Oh, yeah, 100%. We need more hours in a day on a Sunday because we're now booked up for lessons until the end of April on Sundays. It's unbelievable.
And that's good, and it's all new people that are coming into the sport. So it's fantastic that we're booked up Saturdays and Sundays. You know, we offer lessons 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Not many people do that, and it just shows you how full we are with lessons, have-a-go lessons. There's an appetite for it.
Definitely. Yeah. We've added, obviously, Matt and Tony White, gunsmiths on site. Was the goal to make Eaton Hall a one-stop shop?
Yeah.
In that regard?
100%. And they're great support for us and for the shooters. You know, obviously we've got the gun room, you know, which is nice that we've always got them upstairs. The amount of people that come to see those guys, you know, they've been around a long time.
Yeah.
Very, very good at the job. They looked after my guns for years.
Very respected within the industry, aren't they?
Yeah, and 100% it makes it one-stop shop. We've got the bespoke stocks that we're doing as a JV together, where we're ready now to start pushing so we can make all the stocks in-house. We made quite a few so far, which is nice. We haven't really pushed it because we just wanted to get it right. And that's going really well, and raise cones and that sort of stuff. So it just added benefit to the ground and to everybody else, because where can you go if your gun breaks? You can just literally, if it's a quick fix, we do it there and then. If it's a bigger fix, then you've got to come back. But, you know, ultimately it's quite funny because we obviously up there, everything has a tag on it, and it's always funny how you might think your gun's going one place, but it always ends up here. You know, we've got guns from all around the country that end up coming here to be serviced and fixed, and it just shows you that there's not many people out there doing it because they all end up here. Yeah. So, yeah.
You touched on the bespoke stock thing there. That we're launching that properly for anyone who's interested.
Yeah, I think we're going to be doing
very soon,
some promo stuff with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's mainly, obviously, just quickly on that. Obviously, if you've got a stock that's cracked, broken, damaged, we can literally turn that round super quick, because we've already got a stock to copy, or we can make it from scratch and, you know, made to fit in-house, high end. But the nice thing about it is wherever people have gone, maybe lost the attention to detail, is you come, we make you a hardwood stock first. So we make you a stock out of just a hardwood. You go and shoot it. I don't like it. It's a bit this, it's a bit that. It's a little bit low. It's a bit whatever you want to do. Yeah, we change it there and then. So you can come back in, we change it. You can shoot it for 2 weeks. Just come back in. Then we'll make your stock off that hardwood stock. We'll copy the first one we made, get it right, and then again you can shoot it and play around with it all day long. And it's a proper gun fitting. So when you order one from abroad, it turns up. You've still got to get it fitted. You've still got to hope it fits properly. You know, it might not be quite right. It's this, it's that. Well, it's a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
100%. We have to talk about June this year.
Ooh.
Top Gun, a £400,000 prize pot. It's unheard of in the UK. Why go that big?
Well, I got to the original figure, by looking at rough figures that if we were doing a competition for, say, the CPSA, what we would end up with on a normal ticket sale, or whatever you call it.
Entry fee, yeah.
An entry fee. What would we have got a percentage back after their management charge and them doing all the payments and so on and so on and so on. So we'd end up with X, and that what was left. So that sort of 200k mark was left in the pot that we would have never had if we'd done it through somebody else. So I thought, well, that's the prize pot. Simple. So we're no worse off. Yeah. And the extra 200 grand, for argument's sake, is why not? I think it adds a bit of fun. You know, it's funny. I'm dreading that somebody straights it. Amy's hoping somebody does. And I think you are, from a PR point of view.
100%.
And we've concluded that if somebody does it, great. If somebody doesn't, great.
Yeah.
But it's there to be won, and why not? Because it's.
I think it's good that we can show that it can be done.
100%.
And also, you know, people are going. They're spending years and years training, spending money, hotels, meals, you know, travel, cartridges, days off work for competitions and training, to win very little.
And that's the thing is, 10%.
Go on.
Sorry, yeah, 10% or more of every single shooter that enters Top Gun. At the moment, 20%. But in the end, 10% of every shooter will at least win their money back or more.
Yeah.
So what other competition in the world can you go and do that at and actually guarantee that 10% of the entries will win their money back or more?
Yeah.
Very, very few, if not any. Every class is treated independently. So it doesn't matter if you win AAA or C class, you win the same money until you get into that big, you know, the big shoot off. So everybody, you know, it doesn't matter. I'm not, you know, I've been to Cyprus or to Malaga, you know, shooting against, you know, we went with Mark Windsor and George was there, everybody's there. Well, I'm shooting against them. You're just a male. You're in a male class. There is no C class, B class, A class. Well, what's the point of me shooting against those guys? I'm going there because I want to compete and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going there to win. But here, you can still do that. But you are only shooting against C class shooters. You are only shooting against B class shooters.
And that's the same in category as well?
And category. So basically, you've got a real good chance to win some really good money. And why not? Why it should be like that, you know?
I think it's going to be an exciting event as well, isn't it? You know, there's a few things we've got planned. And
like the final, some disciplines in there, you know. Is that the right thing? Is that the wrong thing? I don't know. But this is Top Gun.
Mix it up, yeah.
So if you are Top Gun, you should be able to shoot anything. If you are a natural shooter and you're going to be the Top Gun in your class or in the world, then you've got to be able to shoot whatever's coming at you.
100%.
You know, and I think this will definitely, I think a lot of shooters that are coming will think that they've got, you know, I've already got people I think might do well, but then it might catch them out shooting different disciplines. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun.
Perfect all-rounder. Would you think Top Gun is your way of sort of showing American grounds, Middle Eastern grounds and the rest of the world that the UK is back on the map for high-stakes shooting competitions?
Yeah.
I'd like to think so, yeah.
And I think if we can adopt some of the American stuff that they do, you know, and I don't know, we've got to look at it from the Calcuttas and all that sort of stuff, if it's possible for us to do that. But, you know, why don't we do it? You know, we want to make shooting fun. You know, it wants to be like live golf for shooters. And that's what we want to just do something a little bit out the norm. Yeah. And America are really good at it. Over there, it's massive, the following they have. It's great how passionate they are. Yeah, they really get behind it. Here, it's sort of like people shoot and go home, but here it's just changing. We're getting people to stay. We're getting people supporting. we're getting a different vibe than you would normally get.
Yeah.
So yeah, this could be the first of many.
Definitely. You're aiming for a Grand Slam feel. Will we see grandstands, live screens, and a different way of watching the sport?
Yep. So we're definitely going to be doing the live streaming. We're going to definitely extend the grandstands. Obviously, big TVs, big screens again. Scoring, commentating. I think that was a real buzz last year.
That was amazing last year. You and Mark.
Problem is, we've got to be careful. We don't know who we can get to be your compare with you yet, because we don't know who's going.
I know.
Who's going through.
Yeah, it all depends who's available.
Yeah. So we might have to have a short list of a few. But yeah, so 100%, and we want to do it more. And if anybody's got any ideas, get in touch, because anything we can do to make this more fun.
Yeah, and it's important to know what shooters want as well out of a competition.
I think one of the biggest things that we've not mentioned yet is the fact that it's unregistered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone can do it.
Your granddad, who might be unbelievable at shooting game and never shot clays, can come and shoot it. You know, anybody can come and shoot it, and that doesn't mean you get classified on the day and they can then end up in the final, and anyone can end up winning it.
Yeah.
So that's what's so unique about it.
I think that'll be interesting as well, to see some of the scores of people who aren't registered. You know, there's other people out there as well who have got a chance.
Yeah. And other people might decide to get registered afterwards because they realise they're actually quite good at clay shooting.
Exactly.
They might decide
but on that, we haven't decided what we're doing on pool shoots yet. So if anybody's got any good ideas on that, because we want to make it fun. We want to do something, you know, people have shot all around the world. If anybody's seen something different or something, you know, that's really good fun and works, then, you know, drop some a line, because I actually think that would be, I want to just do something different.
100%.
Yeah.
Final question, because I think this is going to require a part 2 and 3 and 4, and we probably should do this every 6 months.
Okay.
Long-term legacy, and I'll probably ask you this every time. In 20 years from now, what would you want people to say about Eaton Hall? And answer it one at a time.
I don't know, because I don't really think
about this.
I don't really.
We get people coming to us now saying, "Oh, we should have built this when I was shooting 20 years ago, or when I was in my prime." So I think
it's 22 years too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get a lot of people saying
So
that.
you know, like Archie Gale, right? And he's shooting phenomenally at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
16 years old, and he's shooting out of his skin. And you know, Paul keeps saying to him, you know, you don't realise how lucky you are. You know, in 20 years' time, if Archie tapped me on the shoulder and said, you know, I'm still here, still shooting, still enjoying the sport, and I do believe he'll go on to be one of the names.
Talent.
Yeah. That's what I'd like to see is the people we're seeing now, the juniors, become.
Through.
And there's a few good juniors. You know, we've got Ollie Cox in the GB team. You've got George Bramley. You know, he's shooting well. You've got Finn Jacks. There's a real good team of juniors here that are all shooting at a high level that we would love to see them in 20 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That would be our thing, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be a big thing, to see the younger ones.
The Eaton Hall shooters over the next 20 years, to see how they do.
How they've progressed.
And we're going to do like the board around here with the names, like, you know, on the team and competitions and so on. And it'd be good to start seeing, in 20 years' time, we're going to be halfway down that wall with little gold stars and names and who's won what, and see if there's a pattern of Eaton Hall shooters to, you know, see if we made the right choices.
It's a hard question to answer, but I think,
I think you've answered it perfectly.
To see everybody in 20 years' time who's here from the beginning, still coming and still enjoying it and doing well, and maybe, you know, being a world champion or being a gold medalist, I think, and they'll probably come to us and say, thank you so much for the opportunity you gave us, because I probably wouldn't have been able to have got where I am without the support and the facilities that I had on offer from such a young age.
Yeah. Do you know what we are going to see, which is actually quite bizarre to think about it? In 20 years' time, we're going to see 5 Olympic squads go through this ground.
Yeah.
Which means we could potentially, you know, see 5 medalists be born here and grow, which is, that's quite crazy. It's a legacy.
Definitely.
You know, there's not many places where they've got a dedicated training ground that is owned independently to see and get to know those people and, you know,
Amazing. Thank you very much for your time, both of you.
No
Cheers.
Thank you.
Are you on our time or your time?
It definitely needs a part 2 and 3 and 4. I well expect. If you haven't booked on Top Gun and you're listening, head over to eaton-hall.com, get booked on.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's quite weird being the interviewer and also the promoter, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks, Ames. Thanks, Syd.
Thank
And
you.
we'll
Maybe next time we should bring in a host to interview us.
I know,
all three of
yeah.
us.
Yeah, or someone independent to interview you two.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys, and thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.
Perfect. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.